It's kind of early here in Las Vegas. Everybody's sleeping. Still got family in town for another day and a half or so. And my grandson's sleeping, and I didn't want to wake anybody up. Everybody's sleeping except me. I can't. I don't get a lot of good sleep, ladies and gentlemen. I think I make these videos for a few reasons. This morning in particular, I'm making this video because I need somebody to talk to, I guess, or to rant to, or somebody to listen to me or something, because I feel like I'm almost like I'm going crazy or something. You know, you turn on the TV, you turn on Twitter, you turn on whatever, YouTube, whatever news source you get, and the things that you see on these news outlets, sources, whatever, you just can't believe what you're looking at, man. And I wanna apologize to you up front. I want you guys to forgive me for going all over the place in this video and the length of this video, because I have a lot of things to say. And later on, when when my family leaves and stuff like that, I'm gonna break down each and every one of these topics one by one. But I got to get a few of these off my chest. First of all, what happened last weekend with the gay pride parades and stuff like that. Let me tell you that it was absolutely sickening and disgusting to see those things. And you guys know what I'm talking about. And it was all over the country. You know, it wasn't just New York City or whatever. It was everywhere. And my Lord, man, if you don't believe in God now, I don't know what to tell you. And I say this a lot. It literally is good versus evil. That's number one. It's good versus evil. And then number two, it's establishment versus, I guess, anti-establishment. I don't even think it's Republicans and Democrats anymore. It's good versus evil, and then establishment versus anti-establishment. And the establishment, obviously, is the evil party. And most of them are Democrats. Not all of them, but most of them are Democrats. You got some rhinos and stuff like that. Because the Republicans claim that they're the good guys. They're not, because there are some good Republicans, I'll give you that. And there's some good Democrats, too. I like Mancini. Joe Mancini, whatever his name is. I like him. There's a few Democrats I like. Obviously, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. But for the most part, Republicans, they just don't get it, man. A lot of them. You know, what they did with Adam Schiff, you know, that guy needs to go under the jail. But they gave him a slap on the wrist. And not only did the Democrats just go crazy about it and get all upset, and, you know, they were chanting shame, shame, shame. But the Republicans turned down the first one because it's going to, you know, it was going to fine them and cost them money and stuff like that. And all those Republicans are taking money, so they didn't want to be hypocrites. Adam Schiff should be in prison for what he did. Period, end of story. And then you got the stuff with the Brandon administration. It's just my goodness, man. I mean, the two-tier system is crazy. You got people out here, literally. Excuse that. I think the garbage is coming today. You got people out here literally committing petty crimes and stuff like that in a lot of these red cities, and you know, they're getting a lot of trouble. But then you got blue cities, they just do whatever they want. And then you got Hunter Biden. I mean, you know, and again, it's all about separation and division and keeping us distracted. That's what it's all about. All this stuff I'm talking about, by the way, it falls under that umbrella of the good versus evil and the establishment versus anti-establishment. And then it was just business as usual Monday. They just came out, and of course Fox News says what they say. I give it to Newsmax. I like Newsmax. Newsmax is a credible source from what I can see so far. I don't trust Fox News at all. They're wolf in sheep clothing. I heard Donald Trump came out and said something about them today. I think he said it last night on Newsmax, I think. either today or yesterday. But what they got going on with Hunter Biden, just for them to bring him out to that little dinner they had, that little gala or whatever they had at the White House or wherever it was at. He just had a tuxedo on. He's just walking around here. I'm just like, man, must be nice to be the president's son, boy. I tell you, all these charges and all the stuff that he got charged with didn't even count the laptop. And now they have, you know, the text message and stuff from the WhatsApp, and then they got they're trying to subpoena the records for that little phone that President Brandon had when he was a vice president or whatever. You know, it really just shows you that these elite evil people have literally just said, okay, you know what? We're going to see how far we can go. We're going to literally do all this stuff in these people's faces. Now, let me say this to you, right? Let me say this. Everyone in America, I don't care if you're red, blue, antichrist, loving God, Muslim, black, white, I don't care what you are. You should not want elites doing what they want to do to you and taking your freedom. You should not have your leader of the country not only be incompetent and not know what's going on in the world. He obviously he's gone and doing all these bad things, but for him to be compromised by another country in China, why are we not doing anything about this? This is why I say I'm going crazy. I'm sitting here talking about this little stuff, but it's like our president is compromised by China. We have all the evidence and nothing's going on. And meanwhile, and again, I'm not the biggest Donald Trump fan when I say this, okay? I'm just not. Donald Trump is facing 400 years for some documents. I mean, again, if you're not a Donald Trump fan, that's fine. But ask yourself why. Why are they doing this? What are they doing it for? You know what I mean? And that's why, again, all the stuff that I always mention about Trump and what I don't like and stuff, I have to consider voting for him, because if they don't want him in that bad, there's a reason for it. I don't know the exact reason. But people out here that say that all politicians are the same, they are not all the same, ladies and gentlemen. There's levels to it. Okay, there are levels to it. And there is a reason why Donald Trump is hated the way he is. And I'm not saying he's not bought and paid for either. He may be controlled in some sorts of ways by the Federal Reserve when he printed all that money, and the people he had telling him what to do with Dr. Fauci and shutting everything down on the federal level, and you know, with the shots or whatever. I don't like any of that stuff he did. But he knows that if people know that when he gets in, he's going to be arresting some people, man. And I'm for that. I'm for that. And I love Ron DeSantis. I love everything he stands for so far from what I know now. Again, I'm only one person. I don't have all the information. I don't know these people personally. I don't know what they do behind closed doors. I don't know who they talk to, what their agendas are, or nothing. I just go by face value right now until I see something different. And again, I don't stay in the echo chambers. I look for the truth. And so far, Ron DeSantis looks pretty good to me. I'm a Navy veteran. He was in the Navy, a naval officer. I wasn't an officer. I was enlisted. And he seems like a good guy, man. Is he perfect? Again, guys, no one's perfect, okay? Not one candidate is perfect. You can sit there, and if you wanted to be president, or somebody you know, you cannot pick anybody that doesn't have faults. Everybody has their faults, but you have to put it on the scale. Even as a human being, you have to say, okay, is this person a net positive or a net negative to society, right? And as a president, I think Ron DeSantis would be a net positive. Somebody told me he was a WEF guy. I've heard that too, actually. I don't know if that's true or not. If he is, he's a good one. He's definitely in disguise, that's for sure, because he's going against the establishment. The reason why I'm leaning towards Trump right now over DeSantis, to be honest with you, because I know it'd be a less nonsense with DeSantis, because number one, they hate Trump so much they want him out. That's the number one reason. But number two is he got robbed in 2020. He absolutely got robbed, and I want him to finish the job, because a lot of people were saying that basically, you know, he didn't finish the wall. He didn't get the Hillary, you know who, prosecuted for all that stuff and different things that he just in 3 years in, he just got bombarded by the pandemic, and then all the stuff leading up before that with the Russia scandal, and Russia, and the Mueller report, and all these things that were happening to him. Again, he did not run a great presidency, but considering all that stuff that happened to him, and many other things too, by the way, being called a racist and all this other stuff, I think he did a pretty good job, and I'd like to see him finish it. And then, a lot of people think, Ron DeSantis should be his vice president. At this point, I don't think that's going to happen unless, again, they're doing something behind the scenes. I would like Ron DeSantis to be his vice president, sort of like George Bush Sr. did with Ronald Reagan, and then him take over for the next 8 years after these 4 years. But because I don't want them to be dissing each other and going off and separating the Americans. I'm not talking about the party. I'm talking about the Americans. Because there's a lot of people that are going to be Democrats that are going to be going over and voting Republican. It's because you have to. Again, it's not because it's a Democrat, Republican, right versus left. It's just that these Republicans, a majority of them, are sane, and the Democrats are not. So I'd like to see Ron DeSantis as president later on down the line. But I see Chip Roy, Chip Roy is one of my favorite politicians there are out here. And again, people say, all these politicians are bad. I don't think so far from what I'm seeing. Chip Roy is not a bad guy. Chip Roy is backing Ron DeSantis. And again, as of now, that's what I'm saying about Trump. But we have a long ways to go, and I have a right to change my mind based on the information. Don't ever get stuck on any kind of ideal or situation because you just want the outcome to be that. I have an outcome that I want. I want this country to be the #1 country in the world. I want us to have a strong economy, and I don't want people suffering, and I want our freedoms back, and I want us to stick by and go by the Constitution of the United States of America. That's what I want. And whoever's going to give that to me, that's who I'm voting for. So we'll see what happens on that. But also, too, man, we got New York City. Now, I'm from New York. I'm not from New York City. I'm from upstate. It's about a 6-hour drive to New York City. It's in Rochester, New York. It's right in between Buffalo and Syracuse. Now they're talking about, remember they talked about the wood stoves last year or whatever. Now they're talking about the pizza parlors that are making pizza. They're saying that they need to lower the emissions 75%, and that these couple of dozen or handful or however many pizza places, that's going to cost them a lot of money to fix, by the way, need to change what they're doing to stop emissions. These are people that drive on private jets. There's all kind of pollutions in New York City and cars and stuff like that. Listen, I'm not an expert on climate change, but I can spot bullshit when I see bullshit, okay? And I'm not an expert. When I just see this stuff, I'm just like, I seen Elizabeth Warren, I don't know what year it was. She was getting off of, she's a big climate change person. She got off a private jet and hid behind her assistant because when she got off the jet, because she didn't want anybody to see her. You know what I mean? And again, do you know how much emissions and pollution that a private jet has? So again, do you really think when they're talking about wood stoves or the stoves that they do to cook the best pizzas probably in the country or maybe in the world, because that's a staple in New York City, you think those few dozens or whatever pizza stoves are going to stop emissions? Do they really think that? You know the answer. And there are people, that's what I'm saying, there are very, very dumb, stupid people in the world, man. And I knew people were like sheeples, but when the pandemic started, the scamdemic started, it's just like, wow, I just did not understand to the levels how stupid people are. And if people fall for this in New York City, a lot of people say, oh, it's not going to pass. I don't know if this bill is going to pass or not. But I'll tell you this, the mission is going to be accomplished. And what's the mission? To mess up people who have a small business, because the scamdemic, that did that very well. Just completely destroyed people's lives. I know people personally that had some small businesses, because guys, people that own these small businesses are not rich, okay? All this money printing and all this control, it all advances and helps the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. But their mission is going to be accomplished. And what's that going to do? They're going to crush the middle class. They're going to crush the working man and the small business owner. and they're going to divide us. And that's exactly what they want to do. They want to keep us on our toes so that we're constantly always in an influx of, oh my God, what's going to happen next? Let me explain something to you why these young people, these little young wokesters that come out of college want to become socialists. Okay, I heard Tucker Carlson say this in the interview with Ben Shapiro a couple of years ago, I think. And this is why I watch a lot of interviews with a lot of smart people. He goes, listen, let me say this first before he says this. The way they have printed this printed money in the United States of America, all over the world too, but I'm specifically talking about the United States of America. I had a fair shock because I'm 48 years old. I didn't have it as good as my my parents and my grandparents, but you could tell stuff is tightening up. But these millennials, these people in their late 20s and early 30s, and especially the kids now, they don't have a chance to come out of college with all that school debt, because they'll give you $100,000 for school, but they won't give you $100,000 for a business or something that you want to start. I would tell people go to vocational school and get a skill. But they come out of school and they have no chance to get out of that debt and buy a house. There's a very small percentage of people that do that. So that's why a lot of people, when they're young, they're liberals. And Tucker Carlson said this. He goes, the reason why they want to be socialists or accept to be socialists, these kids, is because they don't have a chance to buy stuff because the money's so printed and they can't afford a house and a basic car. That's the American dream, and raising a family, because not only is it unaffordable because inflation and everything's so expensive, but they're coming out of college with debt up to their earlobes or eyeballs. And so when you got these institutions, just the government just giving away all this money, knowing they have to pay it with interest, and it's guaranteed they're going to get their money back. They got to pay it back. These kids get stuck. So what did the government do? They said, well, you know what? We'll help you out. We'll give you some government funding and we'll do this, but just vote for us. We'll do this, we'll do that. They almost have no choice. But as you notice, the older people get, the more conservative they get. That's why. Again, I was a liberal growing up. I was a Democrat growing up. It's not all about Democrat and Republicans. Again, it's all about, because right now, if you don't want to see children, getting groomed by LGBTQ communities, or you don't want government help, you're a conservative. So I guess I'm a conservative, which that's stupid. How about I can just be an American and just be a God-fearing person and don't want my children around all this stuff with Pride Month, and I don't want the government to be big. I want a small government like the Constitution says. I got to be a conservative to do that? It's insane. This Pride Month stuff, I never thought in my life that I couldn't wait for the month of June to be over, because June is always one of my favorite months, June and July, and August. This is summer months. I cannot wait for June to be over. When you're forcing stuff down people's throats, you're forcing these kids to get these ideologies from school. The curriculum now basically says, as a student, if you're in one of these woke cities or one of these progressive situations in school, you have to celebrate Pride Month. If you do not do it, you'll get in trouble. If you do not go to this class, or if you do not do this or do that, participate, they are forcing it on you, okay? And I'm not for that. Again, they took religion out of school, which, I'm not really for that, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? The separation of church and state, I get it. But what happened to the separation of state and... I was going to say something. What happens to the separation of state and craziness? Or state and... How about state and your own choice of what you want to do? You're forcing these kids to do that. I don't think you should be able to participate if your parents don't want you to. I don't think the state or the school system or the government, like Brandon said, should share the responsibilities of my children. They're my children at the end of the day. And it's easy for me to sit here as a 48-year-old man that all my kids are grown up to say, why don't you just pull your kids out of school? Because I say that a lot. But, I got grandkids now, and I'm looking and I'm like, wow, it is hard for my daughter or my kids or whatever to pull them out of school. But damn it, I'll take them in. And I swear to God, I will sacrifice everything to make sure they don't have to go through this, man. Because now when you get to a certain age and you have children, first when you have children, it ain't about you anymore. But then when you have grandchildren, it really changes you. And, you know, you realize that, because there's a golf course that I frequent, and I look at the 18 holes. I'm like, what hole am I on right now? I may be on the back 9. Who knows? And when you start thinking that way, you start getting closer to God, and you start thinking about your family and your legacy and what you're going to leave behind. And that's why it's tough for me to sleep at night, you know, because literally it ain't about me. And I don't want to make these videos to get views, for people can listen to me and all this other stuff. I don't give two shits about that. I promise you I don't. I probably could be a lot bigger or more whatever, because I could set up a professional studio in my house or something like that and sit in front of the camera. And I've actually thought about that, you know, but I don't want to get caught into that, because attention is a hell of a drug, man. Attention is a hell of a drug, and even I can fall for it sometimes. I'm sitting there looking at my views and stuff like that, and I don't even get any. I can't imagine somebody that gets, you know, hundreds of thousands of views or whatever, and a few 100,000 subscribers and stuff like that. It ain't about that. It ain't about me or any individual. It's about the message for the future. But the future depends on what we do now. And you know, and let me say this to you, man. The American Psycho out there in California next door to me, I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, Gavin Newsom, the American Psycho, if he gets into office in 2024, let's just say what we went through from 2020 to 2024 be a game of tiddlywinks compared to that man. Because I don't know if you've been to California lately. My Lord. Justin Trudeau in Canada is an evil man, but he has a twin brother out there in California. He is the California or the Canadian version of each other. They're the exact same, of the WEF arm of the Klaus Schwab individuals. Gavin Newsom is a pure evil man. He is pure evil. I'm not saying he doesn't love his family or nothing like that. Even evil men love their family. But this man he has no remorse for anybody. He doesn't care about anybody. And what they're doing out there in California, when I seen Gavin Newsom or American Psycho on Sean Hannity Sr.'s TV show, when I first saw him, because I thought they got to pick somebody. Who they're going to pick? Are they going to pick Oprah Winfrey? Are they going to pick Michelle Obama? Who they're going to pick? You know. And then I saw Gavin Newsom on Sean Hannity. I'm like, it's going to be him. I really think it's going to be him. And if it is, guys, you know, we're sitting here so worried about Joe Biden. In all seriousness, I know I call him Brandon, but Joe Biden, all this stuff that he's doing. Let me tell you this right now. They don't need Joe. They need Joe Biden until they don't need him. He's the ideal guy because they can just hide him and do whatever they want and stuff like that. But they got to look out into the future, and he can't last another 5.5 years. Okay, he may not even. When I mean last, I mean, you know, be cognitive, you know, and just be functioning and stuff like that. He may even pass away in the next 5.5 years. Nonetheless, actually be up. You know, it's going to be hard to hide that man. Okay. They're trying to do the best they can now, but when he gets out there, he always gaffes and does stuff. And again, as evil as he is, and as much as I don't like him, I actually kind of feel bad for the guy, even though he was not a good politician. You know, he has some moments and stuff like that. I'm not saying he's pure evil, but you know, the way he sold out this country and stuff like that, even all that stuff, as a God-fearing man and a guy that believes in a higher power, I do feel bad for him, because I feel like it's they're abusing an old man, you know what I mean? And his wife should be ashamed of herself, and everybody in the administration and people above him should be ashamed of themselves for doing what they're doing to Joe Biden, as much as I can't stand the guy. But if you thought that this last administration was bad, the Newsom administration is going to be terrible, and you can just see it coming, okay? They want to get Trump out of the way. They want DeSantis versus Newsom. That's what they want. And just look at it. Who cares if you're a Republican or Democrat? Just look at Florida and look at California, and you tell me who's doing a better job. I don't care who you like or don't like. Just look at the facts. Who gives a shit who you don't like or dislike? I have these people telling me all politicians are the same. No, they're not. All politicians are not the same, man. You know? And I'm not saying, you know, there may be some evil secret thing that Ron DeSantis had may going on or something like that. Who knows? I don't know. But just look at the proof, and the proof is in the pudding, ladies and gentlemen. And Ron DeSantis, to me, is doing a great job. He is. But if Gavin Newsom gets into office, ladies and gentlemen, my God. So anyways, I will be touching on all these subjects. I apologize about the long video, but let me say a few things to you. So the things that we can do to combat this stuff, right? Things that I'm doing, all right? First of all, you got to get outside and you got to get away from the news. You know, you just have to. And I try to do that as much as I can. Spend time with your loved ones and stuff like that. Getting into better shape, physical shape, mental, praying, you know, reading your Bible, whatever spiritual thing you got going on, do it. You know what I mean? Also, just have your preparations, man. Every time I go to the grocery store, I always put something to the side. It's like a 10% tithing to my family. You know what I mean? So if I spend $200 at the grocery store, I put $20 into a separate situation where I buy something, and I have an inventory list of everything that I have, and I have it pretty organized, because if something happens, I don't want to be looking for it. So I almost put a 10% tithe, I guess, into my my preps, just in case stuff happens. And again, are you going to be surprised if something happens? Look what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, and then they got the civil war with Russia and all this stuff building up over in this country with the Pride Month going on. And you know, you got a Democrat, or not a Democrat, Republican. You got somebody that's anti-LGBTQ, and you got these preachers out there trying to talk to them, to the Pride people, and they go absolutely crazy on them. They just go crazy on them. So when you see that stuff, you're just like, what? No tolerance whatsoever, but they're tolerant. You know what I mean? And again, for the women out here in this country, when it was all about the Me Too movement, I didn't like that movement. I thought it was garbage, but I'd rather have that than this trans movement. I'll tell you that. Being a trans activist, and that black lady that was up there talking with the swimmer girl, I can't think of her name now. Oh, Riley Gaines. And she was like, oh yeah, Serena Williams. The men think they can beat Serena Williams. And Riley Gaines just crushed her and said, well, the 203rd ranked tennis player beat him 5-1, 6-0, whatever, in a few minutes. And I read the story that he was drinking and he was out playing golf and all that, and he just killed him. Men should not be competing against women. Women cannot compete against a man. Okay, every once in a while, could I beat Serena Williams in a tennis match? Probably not. You know what I mean? But if a guy has any kind of skill, he can, because he's just physical empowered over a woman. And we know that. Even when I was in high school, when I used to play basketball, you know, even with the JV. Now this is the boys' basketball. You know, you wouldn't have the JV, a varsity team play a JV team, maybe in a scrimmage or something like that, because the varsity boys would kill the JV boys. Why? Because they're bigger and stronger. That's why you have different weight classes and different things and stuff like that. You can't have a 6'2" man. And I give Riley Gaines credit. She tied that man that one time. They still gave him the trophy. But women need to stand up and say, look, no more. Now you got these trans women or trans men or whatever you want to call them, men pretending to be women, going to the fucking gynecologist now. I love Megyn Kelly, man. Megyn Kelly, she was tolerant for a little bit, and I didn't like her at first. You know what I mean? Because I was like, what? I thought you were supposed to be conservative. Like, she was always pandering to them, but now she's going off, and I love her for it. She's almost like the female version of Tucker Carlson right now, you know? So the women out here, they need to stand up for this garbage. You know what I mean? And I don't even acknowledge it. The he, she, them. I don't do none of that stuff. I'm not even in that world, man. I know people that have jobs that have to do that. I wouldn't work it. I wouldn't work a job that I had to get a shot. I wouldn't work a job that I had to call somebody he, she, they, them, or whatever the fuck it is. I'm not participating in none of that stuff. This is why I become self-sufficient. And I'm my own boss. I'm not rich or nothing like that. But I made sacrifices early in my life that I can have income coming in, so I don't have to work for anybody. And I'm glad I did. You know what I mean? I'm glad I did. I'm financially free. Again, I'm not rich, but financially free, in my opinion, is when you have enough money coming in to pay your bills. And I am that right now. And anything that's extra, I go out and work and do stuff. I put it into my investments. And you guys know what my investments are. So keep your head up, do what you got to do. And let me say this too, real quick. I'm going to talk about silver and Bitcoin for a second. Bitcoin is something that you should look at and take a look at and buy a little bit and learn about it, read the white paper, look at that, right? We know about Bitcoin. But silver right now, I'm going to say some things to you that you guys are not going to like, but I'm going to say this to you. Again, silver is not going to be money, ladies and gentlemen. Silver is a hell of a commodity. I think it's a great investment. It's the most underrated, manipulated physical commodity, in my opinion, on planet Earth. It just is. And I don't think, and everybody thinks that the manipulation is going to stop. It's not going to stop. The only way it can stop if the dollar breaks, I need some water. If the dollar collapses, okay? And all these silver stackers and gold stackers out here think that the dollar is going to break. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not a future teller or nothing like that. In my opinion, probabilities say that the dollar is not going to break, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you guys know this, but July 1st, in a few days, the FedNow is coming out, and it's not going to be good. You know, that's the back door of the CBDC. It's called the FedNow. It is a digital back door to say, hey, we're going to send payments instantly and have them, done just like that, settle right there on the spot, kind of like a Bitcoin. You know what I mean? And that's the back door, and that's the kind of like the infrastructure for the CBDCs coming up. The dollar will not crash, ladies and gentlemen. They'll still start printing money. They'll still be printing money, of course. They're doing it now. And when they're printing money, because all they're doing, 95 to 97% of the printing of money is digitally. They print it. Soon we will be a cashless society, and we'll be going to a digital Fed dollar, aka a central bank digital currency. And do you think that's going to die? How can it die? It can't. We're still the world reserve currency until we're not. I don't know how long that's going to be, but I don't think the dollar is going to die. The last one to go in the world out of all 180 something currencies, whatever it is going to be the dollar. So why would you make a bet on, hey, I'm going to stack the silver because it's going to be money one day, and I'm going to transact in it because the US dollar is going to die? Listen, everybody does silver and gold predictions and all that. Everybody thinks silver is going to go up to $200 and gold's going to go up to $3,500. I don't know what it's going to go up. But if it does go up to those prices, guess what? It's not going to have the purchasing power of $3,500 of gold today. It'll be $3,500 gold, whatever the price is going to be in 4 or 5 years. You know what I mean? Look back at 2020 and 2019, ladies and gentlemen, when you had a $100 bill. What could you buy with $100 then versus what you could do now? So it's not about the price, okay? It's about the purchasing power of that silver ounce or gold or whatever you have. And do I think silver is just going to outpace inflation and it's just going to go up to a $300 or $400 or $500 or $600? I don't know. I don't think so. And I don't buy it for that. And if it does, great. I hope to God I'm wrong. I want to be wrong, but I don't think so. That's why I buy Bitcoin as a digital asset. Do I think Bitcoin can go up to, in today's purchasing power, to $200 or $300 a coin? Yes, I do. I just do. You know what I mean? And I'll make videos about that. But it's not about silver, silver versus Bitcoin or gold versus Bitcoin. It's not anything like that. It's just about having diversified assets and what you have your assets for. Just buy something and go, okay, what is this going to do for me? And if you're sitting there, and again, I used to listen to Silver 5150 a lot. He fell off the map. He kind of brainwashed me, making me think that, silver's going to be $600 an ounce and blah, blah, blah. And it made sense what he was saying. But then after a while, I'm sitting there going, this dollar's not going to break, man. These central bank digital currencies. And later on, he started selling the silver and stuff like that, which is fine. He can change his mind. That's good. He's doing that. I'm still pretty sure he's bullish on silver. But they don't call him Silver 5150 for nothing. 5150 in California means crazy. So, but here's what I will say, though, about silver. get the right silver, right? I don't just buy gold, silver coins and bars. I do buy those. I'm not saying that. But the ones that I really buy, and when I do buy the bars and stuff, I sell them up to get constitutional silver. Now, Inglehards and rare silver, all that's cool. But I'm separating this. I'm talking about constitutional silver. Now, let me say this. For anybody to call that stuff junk is an idiot, okay? Constitutional silver is nothing but history and real money, okay? It's literally money. You can go and spend it. Now, you'd be a fool to spend the quarter that's worth $6 or $7, but it's money, and it's written in the Constitution. It is God's money, literally, right? So I never call it junk silver. Now, 90% silver, it is technically 90%, so I'll call it that. But to me, it's constitutional silver. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Always buy things that are on sale, ladies and gentlemen. Again, skate to where the puck is going. You think constitutional silver is not going to go up? The reason why I buy Bitcoin and constitutional silver is because it has a limited supply, right? And people are not recognizing that. Now, more people now are recognizing constitutional silver, you know, in the bullion market and stuff like that. But back in 1980, when that silver went up to $50, they were smelting it. They were melting it. I mean, by the tons back then. You look at those books on the red books and see how much silver is supposed to be minted and stuff. It's nowhere near that. Okay, there is a supply shortage on constitutional silver. Every time you buy a piece of constitutional silver, you're buying a finite item, not an infinite item. Again, I'm not saying silver is not finite. It is, but compared to constitutional silver, I'm talking about regular bars and ounces. That stuff is not finite. It's you know, the bars and stuff are finite compared to the dollars. But if I'm going to spend my dollars on something, I'm going to buy something that's rare, and you got to get constitutional silver. You know, and that's pretty much what I get, man. And again, the way my brain works, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. So I have to, it's almost like I'm the type of person where I'm like, if I'm blind and I can't see and I have that handicap, then my ears are up, right? I'm not a smart guy. I'm telling you that. I'm not. I wasn't not a good student. I was a D student. D as in dog, okay? I wasn't the smartest guy. But and I have to, so my logical brain is very in tune and very, very high. Again, not because I'm smart, it's just because I lack a lot of smartness and common sense sometimes. I just do. I'm just being honest with you about that. Because a lot of people say, oh, you're so smart. I just copy people. I just listen to a bunch of smart people. I take a lot of notes and I work my ass off. Yeah, I just do. But anyways, when I got into constitutional silver, when I first got into silver stack, and I'm just like, why is this stuff so cheap? And they were telling me, and I was like, yeah, but they're not making it anymore. Yeah, but it's in the Constitution. Yeah, but it's real money. Yeah, but it's history. And I'm like, oh, give me that. It's cheaper than the other one. And I piled it up, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Now, are the prices a little bit higher than it was when I first started in 2020? Yeah, they're, well, actually a lot higher. But in comparison, what they're going to be in 5 to 10 or 15 years, which I'm sure you're going to keep your silver, that's why you buy it. You got to buy it, ladies and gentlemen, and keep that stuff. And even if you just pass it on to your children and grandchildren, I guarantee you, whatever the purchasing power is, it's not going to not only just keep up with inflation, but you'll definitely, in my personal opinion, make a profit off of constitutional silver. All right, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Again, sorry about the long video. I love each and every one of you. Know that I've been ranting today. Again, I will cover each one of these subjects in the near future. But again, keep your head up, fight for this country, fight for your freedom, and fight for your family, and keep God with you. He's walking with you, and just keep the faith and be strong, the men out there. All right. I love each and every one of you, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace and love, guys.